By the middle of 2012, it was confirmed that the 21st season of Power Rangers would use the footage from the 35th season of Super Sentai, Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger. The fandom was extremely excited to see how the franchise would take, in what only a year's time, had already become one of the most recognizable and iconic moments in all of tokusatsu, the Legend War, and turn it into an important moment for the Power Rangers franchise. Gokaiger's toy line was defined by its Ranger keys, Sentai's first big attempt at a collectible gimmick item like the Kamen Rider franchise had been doing for a number of years at the time. In Japan, these were incredibly successful, lasting well beyond the original run of the series and continuing to get releases 10 plus years after the fact. This meant Bandai America had some high expectations to fill with their take on this gimmick. They got some practice in the years before, however, with their own versions of gimmicks such as the engine cells with RPM, discs with Samurai, and of course the Power Rangers action card game during Megaforce. The action card game cards were included with nearly every single Megaforce toy released during 2013, and it was assumed that American Ranger keys would follow a similar format. Similar to my video on Japan's Ranger keys, today on Toku Toylines I will be going over the legacy of the Ranger keys from Power Rangers Super Megaforce, one of Bandai's greatest successes and failures at the same time. Ever since early 2013, it was known for sure that Bandai America would be giving it a go on making their own Ranger keys. Props similar to the look of the Gokaiger Ranger keys were seen lining the walls of the cave that the Megaforce Rangers had as a base. And thanks to leaked Super Megaforce packaging card art for a cycle launched by a Ranger key, this confirmed that Ranger keys would be brought to the American toy line. For years it was a tradition to see the first initial offerings for the next Power Rangers toy line at San Diego Comic-Con the year before the season would air. In Super Megaforce's case, this meant that the debut for the line would be at SDCC 2013. On display at the convention, Bandai had the legendary Megazord, the legendary Morpher, and of course, the Ranger keys. The cycles that had leaked via the card art before were not shown just yet, but what was shown was plenty of Ranger keys. Right off the bat, the biggest noticeable difference was the size of the keys themselves. Gokaiger's Ranger keys came in at around 3.5 inches tall, with Super Megaforce's opting for a smaller by an inch design with an overall fatter chest look to them. What was noticed by fans right away was the completely painted details on the chest, including actual metallic gold and silver paint compared to the dull gray mac and cheese color of the Gokaiger keys. Another thing noticed right away was the sheer variety of Rangers showcased here at the prototype stage, and Die Ranger. Gosei Sentai Die Ranger's Shishi Ranger was shown off on the top of the Gokaiger Ranger box, filled with more prototype keys in both Ranger and Key mode. This Die Ranger key, along with the usage of those suits in the early trailers of Super Megaforce consisting of only Gokaiger footage, made fans wonder if this was a mistake or if the unadapted Sentai suit designs from the show would actually appear on screen and in the toy line for Power Rangers. Another question fans had was whether Bandai America would make keys for American exclusive Rangers, such as the Titanium Ranger from Lightspeed Rescue or the Spirit Rangers from Jungle Fury. And early reports from May 2013 claimed that the show itself would not dive into this possibility, but it was still unknown what the toys would do. With unadapted suits having prototypes, it appeared that anything could be on the table. This showcase at San Diego Comic-Con confirmed that Bandai appeared to be fully committed to releasing a wide number of keys in the upcoming toy line, something their Japanese counterpart also did, but over there this was accomplished via Gashapon and Candy Toy exclusive releases and not all deluxe. Those type of release methods didn't exist in the US, so many fans were hoping for a much easier time to collect these new keys for those who hadn't tracked down every Sentai one. A few months after the initial showcase was New York Comic-Con, which brought with it the first look at the legendary Morpher and Megazord in their boxes. Ranger keys were on the display similar to their appearance at SDCC, but also confirmed here with Bandai America's assortment of legendary Zords and vehicles that were based off of previous Ranger teams and would come with the Red Ranger from each of their teams. The vehicles shown here would end up being the cycles first discovered thanks to that packaging card leak, and a Toku Nation interview with the Bandai team at NYCC confirmed that US exclusive Ranger keys would in fact appear in the toy line, but it wasn't stated exactly what that meant just yet. By the end of 2013, the first batch of Super Megaforce toys were spotted in stores, and the new Ranger Key toy line had begun. Released with the legendary Morpher was Super Megaforce Red and Mighty Morphin Red. Just as the Gokaiger Mobiles before it, when used in the toy, these keys would unlock the name of the Power Ranger season that they came from.
Super Megaforce Red. Mighty Morphin
So it'll just say Mighty Morphin.
However, unlike the Gokaiger keys, every one of the Super Megaforce Ranger keys could autoflip with a flick of the legs on the keys. This made them easy to reenact shots from the show, and were actually way ahead of the Memorial Edition Gokaiger keys that would eventually accomplish the same feature years later. However, this feature was also a downside to the toy line, as over time, and sometimes quite soon out of the box, the spring mechanism for this would wear out, causing keys to autoflip with little to no touch at all, or prevent them from staying in Ranger mode in any capacity. Some combinations of using Ranger keys in the Legendary Morpher unlocked special sounds. When all 5 Super Megaforce Ranger keys were used in the Morpher within a short period of time, a sound for the Legendary Megazord would play.
Super Megaforce. Legendary Megazord.
Using a Megaforce key and then a Super Megaforce key in that order would cause the theme song from the show to play. There were also some unused sounds from the toy, such as Happy Birthday and Merry Christmas, that were never able to be officially unlocked outside of the method of putting pieces of tape over some of the key notches, or by an accidental unlock with a faulty morpher. To tie into the more toyetic approach, every key included a QR code on the key sticker that worked with the now defunct Power Rangers Key Scanner app. When scanned, it allowed for the ability for you to morph yourself into the Ranger that you scanned. And the app also included a key collection feature, which kept track of all the keys you had scanned and allowed for easy access to the morph feature for the ones that you had already used in the app. Another advertised feature of the Ranger keys was to have them battle, by throwing them at each other and having them flip into a key, which might be a stretch to call this a feature, but Bandai thought it worked enough. Not every Super Megaforce toy would come with Ranger keys, such as the action figures. With Megaforce, the action card game gimmick was packaged with every figure released, but when it came to Super Megaforce, Bandai gave the figures a scale increase from 3.75 inches to 5 inches, and made them no longer come with a gimmick item. Every Zord, vehicle, and roleplay item, for the most part, would come with a Ranger key of some kind. Typically the Red Ranger that related to the product the most in some way, with many of these red keys being special translucent variants compared to their regular releases. Those would be released in the most abundant and long-lasting release format for the keys, as well as what makes Bandai America's Ranger keys something special: the Legendary Ranger Key Packs. Early speculation from fans was that Ranger keys could be released in blind bag styles in the US, to replicate the Gashapon style of release from Japan. Instead, Bandai America chose to go with a modified team set approach similar to what Japan had done. Gokaiger's toy line saw certain sets of teams sold in packs of 5, where the core members of a given team could all be bought at once at the highest quality of paint and detail for the Ranger Key toy line. Super Megaforce would release theirs in packs of 3 keys each. In September 2013, toy leaker Raz would post the first batch of listings for upcoming Super Megaforce products. These revealed both the price points and existence of key multi-packs for $7.99. The packaging for the Legendary Morpher, seen at NYCC, showed off the first batch of these on the back, but at that point it wasn't confirmed how all of these would be released. By the time they were actually found in stores in early January 2014, they would actually end up being $12.99 in some places. Wave 1 shipped to stores with 12 packs to a case, with an assortment featuring 3 Super Megaforce Pack A's, 3 Megaforce Pack A's, and 1 of each Pack A for Samurai, Mystic Force, Lost Galaxy, Wild Force, and Lightspeed Rescue. Each of these key packs would feature the red, blue, and green Rangers for their team, with black substituted for green in the case of Wild Force and Megaforce. The back of the package for most of the toys showed a number of upcoming key packs, but also showed the first sign of one of the biggest issues the Super Megaforce keys would have: a lack of female representation. Of all of the Ranger keys shown, the only female Ranger was Ninja Storm Blue. There was no mistake that Bandai chose to exclude the female members of the teams from the overall packs, which was something that angered many fans. New York Toy Fair 2014 showed off a number of new Super Megaforce products. This would be the place to see the items for Super Megaforce Silver, such as his Silver Morpher, Spear, and Q-Rex Megazord. Also shown was Bandai America's creation of the Turbo Falcon Megazord, giving a full-on Megazord mode to Mahalkin from Gokaiger, who didn't have a form like that. At this presentation, the keys that would actually be included with Silver's roleplay items weren't finished yet, so placeholders would be included for the time being. The final products saw Super Megaforce Silver being released with the Morpher, and Robo Knight with the Spear. As for new keys in general at this event, a display column of keys would include mostly the ones already available, with the only female keys on display being the already released Ninja Storm Blue, along with the on-the-way Super Megaforce Yellow and Pink, and Zeo Yellow was present as well. Toy Fair would have this Unlock the Power contest on display, with a box that almost looked like a store display for blind bags, leading some to wonder if perhaps this release method would actually occur alongside the key packs after all. This idea was shot down, however, by Bandai reps at the event, who had mentioned that 60 Ranger keys were planned for the toy line. This would mean nearly half of every Ranger at the time were not currently in the plans for release. Nearly all 60 of these were already accounted for when adding up the totals of all the known key packs and prototypes seen at events. Speaking of more key packs, at this time, pages from a German toy magazine would show off the reds from Jungle Fury, Dino Thunder, Operation Overdrive, and RPM, as well as the first US exclusive Ranger key, Dragon Shield MMPR Red. With Super Megaforce now on the air and the toy line in stores, more products would have pictures be found for the toy line. The Super Mega Saber in both the deluxe and cheap versions would come with Super Megaforce Blue. The Super Megaforce Blaster would have Super Megaforce Green, and each legendary Zord and Cycle would come with the Red Ranger of the team that they were based on. Other products like the deluxe handgear gloves would come with Alien Red. The legendary Megazord included a translucent version of the Super Megaforce Red Ranger key, while the Q-Rex Megazord would release with a regular Dino Thunder Red key. The Turbo Falcon Megazord would come with the RPM Red key. Ranger training sets for Red and Blue came with yet another way to get the Super Megaforce Red and Blue keys, and the deluxe Silver training set included the same kind of thing for his key. Items such as the Zord armors for Super Megaforce, Megaforce, and Samurai would include special arms that doubled as Ranger keys, kind of breaking the mold of a typical Ranger key years before Gokaiger did it with the Gokai Cross key. Wave 2 of the key packs included Pack A's for Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, In Space, Time Force, Ninja Storm, and SPD. The SPD pack decided to take a cue from the Gokaiger toy line and take the incorrect no white outline on the number 1 on the chest, present on the original Deca Red key, and bring it to all 3 members of the SPD team for Power Rangers. This wave also finally saw the first female key releases with Ninja Storm Blue and Zeo Yellow. The inclusion of Zeo Yellow was a confusing case, as Zeo Green had been shown in a number of marketing materials but was missing from the final set. Zeo Green would go on to become one of the few Ranger keys continuously advertised but never released for a long period of time. Not only was Green on the back of the box for the toys, but he was also featured on the included Ranger key pack checklist all the way up to Wave 3 of the key packs. While Zeo Green would eventually get released, Lauren from Samurai wasn't so lucky. She had been shown as part of the Samurai team pack, on the back of packaging, and was shown as the included key with the Super Mega Cannon, but all of these would end up being releases for her brother Jaden in the final products instead. And even with the expansion of the Ranger keys into 2015 and 2016, Lauren's key would still never be released by Bandai America. In March 2014, Bandai held the Morphin Madness competition for fans to vote for their top 5 Rangers in a bracket-style system that would lead to the 5 winners being made into a grand prize Ranger key set with 24-karat gold release of the legendary Morpher. In the end, the 5 winners ended up being Phantom Ranger, Mighty Morphin White, Mighty Morphin Red, Titanium Ranger, and Time Force Pink. This ended up being the first place to confirm a release for Time Force Pink, as well as the existence of a future Phantom Ranger and Titanium Ranger exclusive American keys. It would be a very long time before the winners would receive their prize, but by the end of 2014 and the beginning of 2015, Twitter user @Cabon81 posted pictures of the 24-karat all-gold plated legendary Morpher with the all-gold Mighty Morphin Red and Super Megaforce Red keys, as well as the special key set that featured all of the winners from the competition in a special metallic/translucent look, similar to the keys released in later packs. Only 5 of these were given out to the winners of the sweepstakes, and therefore these are the hardest keys to track down in the toy line years after. April 2014 brought with it an interesting joke tweet from the Bandai Card Game Twitter account, claiming that Ranger keys would be coming to 7-Eleven convenience stores? Something that was never seemingly true, but something that many fans took completely seriously, with actual expectations that certain keys would only be released in a partnership with the store. To this day, it's not exactly known what happened here, other than it was likely just some sort of late April Fool's joke than anything else. By the summertime, Wave 3 and 4 of the key packs released. Wave 3 included mostly repacks, but had the first Pack B release for Super Megaforce. With Pack B releases, these included new members typically, but they also re-released keys that would now be done in an either metallic or translucent style to make them somewhat different. Super Megaforce B included yellow and pink to complete the team, and a metallic red, making these the first complete team of Rangers in the American Ranger Key toy line. Wave 4 would be the rest of the Pack A's still missing from the franchise, as well as one Pack B, MMPR. The MMPR Pack B set had the previously seen Dragon Shield Red Ranger key, along with Tommy's Green and White Ranger forms, while also present in this wave was the Pack A for Alien Rangers, Dino Thunder, Operation Overdrive, Jungle Fury, and RPM. The last 2 Pack A's on this wave also brought more female keys to the line, but sets like Dino Thunder broke the red, blue, and yellow pattern that most packs followed and included black instead. At the time, this was assumed to be the end of the Ranger Key toy line, with every Power Ranger season getting at least one Ranger Key pack released. With it already being summertime, focus was now on showing Bandai's initial offerings for 2015's Power Rangers Dino Charge, but collectors everywhere were not satisfied with the Ranger Key turnout for Super Megaforce. There still seemed to be a few more keys on the horizon, such as the Deluxe Legendary Morpher and Key Set pack that would be released at the end of the year with 20 keys. The early leaked photo of this included the 5 core teams in their entirety for MMPR, Samurai, Megaforce, and Super Megaforce, and at the time, this seemed to be the only place to get the females for all of those teams at this point besides Super Megaforce. But if this truly was going to be the end, after a year and a half almost of having many keys shown off at previous events with no release in sight, fans wanted answers. At that year's SDCC, Ranger keys were included as one of the exclusive items, with a metallic Mighty Morphin Ranger key set that included all 7 team members, and at the time was the only released version of MMPR Yellow and Pink. The MMPR Red key included in this set unlocked the special Go Go Power Ranger sound in the Legendary Morpher, and not the regular Mighty Morphin sound. During the convention, Bandai reps confirmed that more key packs would actually be on the way for female and 6 Rangers. Around the same time, a picture for Super Megaforce Pack C was found, confirming another wave would actually be on the way after all. Some of these upcoming keys were actually seen on display at SDCC that year, such as Phantom Ranger and Blue Centurion. SDCC also featured a special translucent MMPR Green Ranger key that they handed out to cosplayers and visitors of the Bandai America booth. For this MMPR Green key, it was released in a singular bag, similar to how a lot of fans would expect blind bags if Bandai America had gone that direction. Continuing from the summer into the fall with conventions, 2 more con packs will be released. Power Morphicon 2014 got the special metallic 2-pack of the Jungle Fury Wolf Ranger and Lightspeed Rescue Titanium Ranger. As with the SDCC Mighty Morphin set before it, this was the only way to get these Rangers for a bit, and it featured the 3rd Power Rangers exclusive key following Dragon Shield Red and Phantom. New York Comic Con 2014 featured the Tommy Oliver Ranger key set as its exclusive, which included metallic releases for all 5 of his Ranger forms. And by October, more standalone releases of keys were found as key variants, packed in with certain items such as boys' underwear, that would include nearly unpainted versions of Super Megaforce Silver, Red, and Blue, that would essentially just be entirely their Ranger colors with slight details. While it would take a while, the entire Super Megaforce team would get a release in this kind of format, although they were very hard to track down. Pinks would release as a pack-in with the Halloween costume that fall, while Yellow and Green were exclusive to the Nick Hotel Super Megaforce Weekend and Cartoon Network Asia meet and greet events respectively. It was by this point in the fall of 2014 that pictures of the 2015 promised key packs were found on Taobao, but not before one last wave made it out in 2014. Wave 5 of the Ranger keys included 3 key packs only, Mighty Morphin C and D, which included pink, metallic blue, and translucent green in set C, and yellow, translucent red, and translucent white in set D. Super Megaforce Pack C would include a translucent blue, pink, and silver, making it one of the cheapest ways to get a silver Super Megaforce key if somebody skipped all the roleplay items in bigger sets, though it was semi-translucent. Alongside pictures of the next wave, what was also discovered with these pictures was the change in lineup for the Toys R Us exclusive Deluxe Morpher set. While the original picture from the summer showed a completion for Mighty Morphin, Samurai, Megaforce, and Super Megaforce teams, the final product would actually choose to go with including 1 Ranger key from every Power Ranger season instead. But the real kicker was 3 Rangers were chosen to be exclusive Ranger keys to the set, In Space Silver, Quantum Ranger, and Dino Thunder Yellow. And by the end of the toy line, this was still the only place to get these 3 specific keys. It was now 2015. Super Megaforce was over, and Dino Charge toys were in full swing. While the promised additional key packs had been seen on Taobao months before, they wouldn't be spotted in stores until January of 2015. By the time these sets saw release in the US, they were all classified as Toys R Us exclusives, something not seen on the original pictures of their packaging from October 2014. To go on shelves with these next group of Ranger keys, Bandai re-released the Legendary Morpher at Toys R Us with a special gold version that included a very similar gold version key to the Morphin Madness winner set, but instead of an all gold plated Legendary Morpher, only the Super Megaforce symbol and keypad were done up in a chrome gold finish. 2015 Ranger Keys Wave 1 included Alien Rangers Pack B with white, yellow, and Ninjor, which was a key that Bandai Japan did make as part of their post-Gokaiger Premium Bandai Ranger key sets, and was now here in post-Super Megaforce, but neither show included it on screen. Zeo Pack B had green, finally, pink, and gold. Turbo B included pink, Blue Centurion, and Phantom Ranger. In Space B had translucent red and blue with yellow. Lost Galaxy B came with translucent green, yellow, and Magnet Defender. Time Force B had translucent red and green with pink. Wild Force B had translucent black with yellow and Lunar Wolf. Ninja Storm B was Crimson and Navy Thunder with green Samurai. Dino Thunder B had translucent red and black alongside white. SPD B was pink, Shadow, and Omega. Mystic Force B was Wolf Warrior, White, and Solaris Knight. Operation Overdrive B included translucent red with yellow and Mercury. Jungle Fury B was translucent yellow and wolf with Rhino, with Wolf Ranger never getting a regular release, only special variants. RPM B was green, silver, and gold, and finally Samurai B was translucent red, pink, and gold. This was a great start. It completed Zeo, In Space, Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, and Jungle Fury, but it left some very strange gaps. Many sets in this wave, such as In Space, Lost Galaxy, Wild Force, and Operation Overdrive, could have easily completed their teams, if another female key was packed in instead of translucent key variants. But this had to be it, right? Bandai America was already throwing fans a bone by releasing these in the first place, when the rest of the show and toy line had moved on. But fans were determined, and by the fall of 2015, it was confirmed that even more key packs would be on the way in 2016. But this was it. They were going to complete them with this. Found in the spring of 2016, a year after their initial continuation into Dino Charge's toy line, another wave was released once again as a Toys R Us exclusive. This time the sets were as follows. Turbo Set C with translucent red and phantom with yellow. In Space Set C with translucent red and black with yellow. Lost Galaxy Set C with translucent red and magnet with pink. Lightspeed Rescue Set C with yellow, pink, and translucent titanium. Time Force C with translucent blue, pink, and yellow. Wild Force Set C with translucent red and Lunar Wolf with white. SPD Set C had translucent red and Shadow with yellow. Mystic Force Set C had translucent Solaris with pink and blue. Operation Overdrive Set C had translucent Mercury and blue along with yellow. RPM Set C had translucent gold and red with black. Samurai Set C had translucent gold and green with yellow. And last but not least, Megaforce Set C had translucent red and finally released of pink and yellow, first seen 2 years prior to this. They had done it. Every single Power Rangers team was complete with Ranger keys to at least the most basic extent. Even with all of the additional waves of sets, some fans were still upset with the lineups chosen for the additional sets. Rangers like Kat and Nova from SPD never got keys that could have been included in a third SPD set, but they never were. Characters like Daishi and Camille were some of the only Rangers to get keys in Japan, but not in the US. So perhaps they could have fit into a Jungle Fury Set C somehow, but that never happened. Though through all of it, one of the biggest missed opportunities is Lauren's red Samurai key. Samurai Set C even had a perfect opportunity for her, but it only included yellow as the new key, and 2 translucent keys that one of which could have been used for Lauren. While no more brand new Ranger keys would be released by Bandai America, at the end of 2017, Ranger keys would return one last time. With the 25th anniversary right around the corner for 2018, a listing appeared on Entertainment Earth for an assortment of 2 Ranger key packs. Listed under Bandai's Legacy Collection line, originally there was no pictures available for the sets, which led to some fans to hope that the teams after Super Megaforce would be added to the line. But when pictures dropped, it revealed that these would be sets of re-releases. The first set would be the Red Rangers from SPD, Mystic Force, Samurai, Megaforce, and Super Megaforce, and the second set was all the male members of MMPR. These retailed for $14.99 and were released by the middle of 2018. But by that point, Bandai America had lost the toy license for Power Rangers to Hasbro, so no matter what, these would be the final American Ranger keys to ever be released by Bandai America. And that's brought an end to the Super Megaforce version of Ranger keys. For Bandai America's first real challenge having to release a gimmick in their Power Rangers toy line, it of course had some bumps along the road. But thanks to the vocal feedback of fans at the time, it is now possible to get nearly every Ranger from the first 20 years of the franchise in Ranger key form in both Japan and the US. Never before or since has a Power Rangers toy line intended primarily for their main kids line lasted through multiple years, and with Bandai America's next gimmick challenge, the Dino Chargers from Dino Charge, they went all in from the beginning, releasing dozens and dozens of sets through that season's toy lines. At one point, according to Toku Chris, Bandai was even considering Dino Charge Ranger keys that could have been released if Toys R Us was ever interested. Though these sadly never came to fruition, it showed how close the American Ranger keys came to copying another aspect of their original counterparts, which would be to continue to make the teams that came after them, surely showing how special and genius this gimmick really was for both of their franchises, and it will always be an incredibly important toy line for both Gokaiger and Power Rangers Super Megaforce. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Toku Toylines, completing the duology of Ranger Key toy lines to cover. Until next time, leave a comment below about the Super Megaforce Ranger keys. Did you collect them? Which ones did they skip would you have wanted them to do? And also be sure to check out the Gokaiger companion video to this one on the original Ranger Key toy line. And until then, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or at LightningFigPR. It's Morphin time! To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, Redstone MCPC, Comics 1017, James Darty, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Bezetsky, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Pyramidas, CPT Tesla, Cross SCV, Caboose ED, Socket Monsters, and Anthony Love. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, linked in the description below.